Well, it is not 8 o'clock, but it is now the deep end. As always, I'm your host, Alex Muller, and I swear to God, if I ever meet an executive for a faucet company, I'm still going to throw fucking hands. I've got beef with faucet makers. But today, joining me is...
Jackson Allen. Lovely to meet you.
What, meet me or meet the...
Meet your viewers.
Okay. I'm thinking like, what the fuck is this?
No.
Right? We know each other because, you know...
Possibly too well.
You used to be a bit of a tramp in my living room.
Yes. I love to come and lay low in your residence.
I mean, this year I've had worse. I'm back in that same...
Worse than me.
Oh, yeah. I'm back in that same building that I lived in first year, but I live two floors up.
Oh, that's better then.
Yeah, because I don't get the bugs.
That first floor.
I don't get the bugs through my windows.
Also,
and shit.
the lawnmowers and everything. I found it like
the lawnmowers and shit.
Well, Benjo's was like right on the grass there.
Oh yeah,
remember them? They used to just come right up to the window. Like,
Jesus, I used to just have a problem because every time I would open my window to try and get some cool air in, a million bugs would just come in.
Oh yeah.
But now if I open my window, now I'm facing the other way, so I'm not facing the field. I'm facing the car park. So if I open my window there, I just get people smoking weed directly outside my room. And then also the window in my room isn't fitted properly.
Yeah.
So even if I have my window closed, I still get the smell coming in.
Okay.
Like literally, I can be sat at my desk and the window's right next to me, and I feel a breeze, which I'm not supposed to be feeling a breeze when I've got my window closed.
Yeah.
But anyway. You're here now.
Yeah,
Been
we're here.
A while of trying to get you on.
Absolutely.
Why don't we start off by... Tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Where'd you come from? Where'd you go?
I am from Canada. I'm Canadian. Born and raised, proud. I come from a little small town of Bobcaygeon. I'm pursuing a law degree right now. Very happy about it. It's something I've always wanted to do, so I'm just on the back end of it here, and it's been a great experience. I've got to meet a lot of great people, you being one of them, obviously.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love it. Now, life's good right now.
You used a word in there which I'm not sure I understand the meaning of. I'm not sure a lot of people around the world understand the meaning of.
Okay. Did some Canadian slang slip in there?
What does being Canadian mean to you? Especially.
Well, I think the anthem says it the best. Like
as someone
true north, strong and free. Like it doesn't get better than that for me, and it's what I live my life by, and I'm proud of it.
Because as I guess an independent observer.
Yes.
It seems nowadays like a lot of the Canadian identity that I see is, and I know what you're thinking of, it's not that I'm not getting into that right now. A lot of the Canadian identity that I see is purely based on not being America.
Right now.
Right,
I would say. There's like a weird, it's like America and Canada had a big breakup, and they're just trying to do everything they can to prove they don't need America. And it's so silly to me because there's no reason that those two economies couldn't work together, and just the prospect of prosperity it's impeccable. So it's annoying, it's childish, it's immature. It has a lot to do with this TDS as far as I'm concerned. Put it aside and just do what's right for your people.
But it's not even just the economies, it's sort of the culture of it. Especially in Canada, it's like, oh, we're not American. And the Americans are sort of playing into it a bit with the whole 51st state thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, for example, I saw recently a photo of a billboard in downtown Toronto, just above the Toronto Hard Rock Cafe. And it's advertising some sort of cheese product. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Okay.
But it says all you have is a photo of the packaging, and right next to it, in just as large as the packaging itself, it just says "made with 0% American cheese."
Yeah, see,
really,
it's kind of like that's a large part of why Canada is what Canada is right now. Like the U.S. has played such a huge role in Canadian politics. I would say more so, obviously, in the last 2 years, but even I would say it's kind of started during COVID. And like after that, I think you very much saw what little Canadian identity there already was start to decrease even more. Yeah. And you can argue it's you're fortifying yourself by standing up to America and trying to seek different trade partners. But I argue you're shooting yourself in the foot because this is the closest person we got. And let's be honest, they do run the world. They do.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to work with them. Everybody wants to trade with them. Whether you like it or not, this is a major global power. You can't ignore that fact.
And it could be a hell of a lot worse because, a lot of Americans, like the average person, in my opinion, the average person in, say, Boston or Minneapolis has more in common with the average person in Toronto or Calgary than they would to the average person in Dallas or Miami.
Oh my goodness, yes. Like Toronto is it's so close. We're talking 2.5 hours to get outside. Our sports are all like
Hockey.
It's so intertwined. It's silly to even have the argument that we're having right now that is going on between Canada and the US. And I agree a lot with America first, and I wish Canada had a little bit more of Canadian first. But that alone cannot be a dividing factor. You have to have the respect to go, yeah, they were paying out of their share. You can't have globalism at the cost of your own country's prosperity.
Yeah, and as much as obviously Canada has its own, especially with a country like America, though, they don't really have one central identity. I'd say if anyone is closer to having a central identity, it would be Canada than the United States.
Yep.
But it blends. It blends across.
It's very much so.
In Europe, not so much. But if there's any two countries in the world, other than maybe Australia and New Zealand,
literally though,
where the culture blends, wouldn't it be? It would be Canada and America.
And I'm tired of not acting like it's not a great mix. For fear, and it is. It's a great combination of people, and they all believe it's a top-down Judeo-Christian belief system. That's how it started, and we've helped each other out since the birth of Canada, from the beginning. And we all migrated from similar areas, all settled. So
except the people of Quebec.
Yes, except the people of Quebec.
Except for them.
It's so crazy to me that we've found ourselves where we are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be getting better now, especially now with this war. It just seems to be getting more drastic and worse.
But speaking of Canadian identity and what's going on, I would say that, and as much as, you probably much more than me, considering you are Canadian and I'm not, you probably like to rip on the Quebecois a little bit, because they're different. But it feels like they've done a hell of a much better job of protecting their identity.
Oh my
and
God,
their culture.
absolutely. And you know what? They do it unapologetically.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Nobody talks about the fact that you can't wear a burqa in Quebec as a government citizen. That's not an issue. They don't have an issue discussing that with the French people. But it becomes a very gray area when you get into more, I don't know, when you branch out a little bit more. You have these identities and these nationalist tendencies. It's weird. There's a weird protection area where you feel compelled, yet you also have to be accepting, and you have to. Canada is largely multicultural.
Yeah.
But there's a balance that has to be struck, and I think it goes to. China, they just passed the law. When you come in, you have to assimilate. There's assimilation, and that has not happened. And with that comes a loss of identity, or maybe it's growth of identity. But right now,
but
Canada's
not necessarily if there's growth,
growth of identity and the fact of more multiculturalism, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be that balance of, well, this was here before, and that doesn't mean it's bad. It should still. That's tradition. And everywhere you go on Earth, everyone has tradition, and that can't be expunged. And it's a large reason of what makes a country so great is the fact that each country has their own tradition.
Yeah, I've been, and this number has ballooned since I moved to the UK, but I've been fortunate enough to have visited now 48 different countries, right? Mm-hmm. And with the exception of maybe 2, every single place that I've visited feels different. You turn up and you're like, wow, this is Ireland, or this is France, or this is Cambodia. And it feels special. But now, with certain places that I've been visiting, and it's a thing in Europe as well, it's starting to blend. And it feels like, have you ever seen the film Blade Runner?
Yes.
You know how they have city speak in that film?
Yes.
where it's like, the numbers are in German, they order at the restaurant in Chinese.
Okay.
They'll otherwise speak English with a few random French words. It feels like that, where rather than maintaining the beauty of each individual thing, we've put it all into one pot. And a melting pot is a good thing, as long as you can still taste the individual ingredients. Once everything becomes...
I like that you just said that. In individual ingredients was so key there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you get multiculturalism, you also get secularism. Because I find that you get pockets, right?
Yeah.
Where people feel the most comfortable to be themselves and to honestly enjoy their own traditions. That's why you have...
Look at New York City.
You've got Little
Little Italy, Little Armenia, Little Greece,
And I think that's beautiful. That's awesome. But that at the same time, there has to be that factor of, I'm Canadian, though. I'm Canada. I'm British. Right? You can't lose that essence. It's awesome that you're bringing culture, but what does that mean for who you... Do you identify as Canadian, or are you Armenian? Are you... Right? So it's an interesting topic. But I think there does need to be a balance, and right now Canada is very far gone that balance. Canada's identity is non-existent right now, as far as I'm concerned, which is very sad.
It's a very, very stereotypical argument to make. It's a stereotypical point to stat to that I'm about to point to. Which I sort of view it as evidence that whatever is happening in Canada, it's sort of serving to where the local culture is whatever that local culture is. It's not the same as it once was.
No.
Not currently. As of the 223 NHL season, right? Hockey's obviously a big part of Canadian culture.
Oh my God, it's honestly, the last time that Canadian identity was true was the Golden Goal. I like that.
What is
Sidney
that?
Crosby, when he won it for Canada at the end in overtime against the U.S. That was the last time I think Canadian patriotism
and that would have
was
been
like
20,
that was
12?
I want to say 10. I want to say 2010. I think it was Vancouver. So we won it at home. I'm pretty sure it was in Vancouver. So that was the last time I feel like it was like true Canadian patriotism. Like even now, a Canadian flag, it's not as prominent as you would think. Like when I first came here, when I got off the flight, and you guys were kind of had a little change, it seemed, the UK. Like there was a ton of Union Jack flags flying around. I was impressed to see that.
Well, first of all, I must clarify, not you guys. I'm not English.
I know. Sorry.
I'm German.
I know.
But actually, one thing I'm interested in, the last name Allen is that of English?
English, yeah.
So when you, obviously born and raised in Canada, when you come over here to Europe, specifically to England, do you feel a slight connection to...
No. My grandpa was an RCAF pilot. I am Canadian through and through.
I get
I'm more German, honestly. My mom's side.
Oh, my man.
I know.
But for me, I guess it's different for me because I have the passport and I was raised. You are even though my first language is English, and I was raised pretty much exclusively speaking English, except I learned German in school. But when I come to Europe, it's like I feel a bit of a connection. It's like this is not necessarily the homeland, but it's the motherland, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't get any of that at all?
No, I don't.
But then I guess that's a good example of just how separate Canada has become from the mother colony.
Yeah, we don't the whole monarchy. We still have the Queen on our $20 bill, but I'm not invested in the monarchy in any capacity.
Yeah.
I don't even think the UK is largely. I think the older generation, but the younger generation, it seems is pretty fed up with the whole idea of it, honestly. Yeah. And it does seem a little silly in today's day and age.
Well, the main argument that I've heard a lot of people, and it's actually mostly non-British people in Britain who keep arguing against the monarchy, which I find very interesting, because it is a symbol of the country. So I think you might as well keep it around.
Yeah.
But even if you get rid of all the emotions of it, and obviously the emotions are running high right now.
Yeah, obviously.
With a certain former prince.
Careful.
You know, yeah. Don't want to get nuked into oblivion, but obviously right now there's a lot of anti-monarchy sentiment, and one of the main arguments that I hear people make is that, oh, it's anti-democracy to have these guys in. It's like, they don't impact anything at all. They're there for ceremonial purposes.
It's my favorite argument lately. Do you notice that the word democracy is being used an awful lot in arguments lately? And it's so silly to me. And you know what my biggest pet peeve is? When I hear someone talk about populism and democracy.
Oh yeah.
A populist movement will ruin democracy.
That is
what are you talking about?
Democracy.
It is the essence. If the mass of the people, right? It's so silly to me, but
and then it's, I think a big part of hearing about people talk about democracy now is it's about Trump, right? Obviously, you know, we've had so much.
It all comes back to Trump.
It all does.
It all
But
does.
like with the amount of people talking
annoying.
about, like Democrat politicians in America talking about, oh, you know, Trump is dangerous. Trump is dangerous to our democracy. It feels like, especially when we have the two assassination attempts, people always forget about the other one. The guy on the golf course, because it got like no media coverage at all, which is like, this is an assassination attempt on a former US president who is currently the front runner, as much as they didn't want to admit it, is currently the front runner to become the president again.
Well, after he got shot the first time, I was pretty much like, it's over.
After the first assassination attempt, it's like all of those same politicians who have said that he's so dangerous, who have called him a fascist, even though he was in office already for 4 years and we sort of saw that's not the case. Aren't you inherently calling for violence against him?
Yes.
And then when they go out and say, oh, you know, this shouldn't be happening, you know, we respect our democracy, it's like, but you're saying that he isn't. So it's a double standard.
And it's a problem, because you do have people who are susceptible to, you have ignorant people that are susceptible to whatever they hear. And like, if you're sitting up there and you're a person of power, you have a following, and you sit there and go, this man is essentially Hitler. He's right.
Yeah.
He's ruining our democracy. Someone, hopefully not, but typically someone who is not all there is going to take that for gospel. And it's so wrong.
As an example of this, I recently saw there was a music festival somewhere. I forget where it was, but they had like a big screen behind the people playing the songs, which normally have the graphics. But at this particular performance, they had the images of Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, Donald Trump, and Benjamin Netanyahu.
I saw this. Yeah, with the
swastikas on their foreheads. It's like, it feels like the term. It's like that one South Park episode where they say shit 500 times.
Yes.
Just to really hammer it in that it doesn't have meaning anymore. It feels like that with the words Nazi and fascist.
Well, and it's sad. You got to wonder what the Jewish community thinks of that.
Obviously, when you're putting a swastika on the forehead of, regardless of what you think about Benjamin Netanyahu, you know, the big Yahoo himself, you know, why the fuck are you putting specifically a swastika on his forehead?
It's absurd.
Do you not see the connotation that might hold out of context?
Absolutely.
And even in context, right? It's still a bit.
And what's so awesome about these democracies, and there's literally, they put protections in place to ensure that there is not going to be these draconian individuals that come in and run it like a dictatorship.
Yeah.
If the Republicans are able to take control of both the Senate and Congress, that's a problem. And it's a Democrat problem. It's not a USA problem.
Exactly. Although I would say that there has been, in my opinion, there have been issues lately with those protections stepping out of line a bit. Like you hear so many examples of an activist judge.
Yes.
Why is a judge an activist? A judge should be interpreting the law rather than
Depends what a Supreme Court judge. No, I disagree.
The point of the Supreme Court judge is to interpret whether or not the law
is applicable to today's day and age.
In the context of, well, most of the time is this law applicable when we look at it through the lens of the original law, as in the Constitution?
Yes.
Right? These circuit court judges, you know, the amount of times that they're letting people out with such lenient sentences because of mitigating factors. What the fuck?
Well, the mitigating factors are they don't have rooms in the prisons. like the cost. And
Yeah, it's like what's going on?
like the catch and release program is so stupid.
Or when they like every time a deportation order is issued, you just know instantly some federal judge somewhere puts out a temporary order, and a lot of the time it's just like it's a temporary order to investigate whether or not this is legal when they know it's legal.
Yeah.
But they're just putting out this order to prevent the dude from getting deported, so that in the meantime more people can come across the border. And I don't understand. What's your take on illegal immigration? Because it's a hot button issue, and I've heard so many people who are pro-immigration have different reasons for being pro-immigration. I've heard so many people who are anti-immigration. It feels like regardless of whether or not you agree with another person on whether or not it's good, you don't agree on why that is the case. So what's your take on it?
Like illegal immigration? I don't know. Like it's the whole thing. What's the problem with it? Oh, it's illegal. Like I don't know. Immigration, it's such a tough topic because there's so many layers to it, right? You have asylum seekers, you have people who are genuinely just coming for a better life, hopefully not even they just want to change the scenery. You have those are your genuine immigrants who are just, and then you have people who are looking for a better life. It is still bad, but they don't meet that asylum seeker refugee status. But you know what? They just want to get out. And it's tough because you do have to have restrictions. You have to have caps. You have to have protection policies in place. Or,
although, and well, this my take on it is sort of a bit similar. You know, I really empathize with these people who are coming from war zones.
You can't not. If you're a human and you have a heart, you have to recognize that. How grateful you and I are. Like every day I wake up, I go, wow, I am so lucky. But that's not the case for a lot of people in the world. But
at the same time, my take is that there has to also be the rational argument that are the people that, you know, and it sucks to be, you've got to phrase this carefully and not just say it sucks to be from Syria. It sucks to have been born in a country like Syria, Lebanon, or Iraq in the modern state that they're in.
Yeah,
where it's dangerous.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you have to consider why it is that way. And is bringing the people from over there going to bring their problems with them?
They are if they don't assimilate.
But at the same time, how do you?
That's what I mean. So if you're escaping something, like especially those who find themselves in asylum seeking and refugee status, if you are genuinely escaping something, why would you bring tendencies with you that were common in that place? I would be so excited to be Canadian if I came over from a place that was being like I can't imagine, and then to all of a sudden walk out, like it would be like utopia. So treat it as such, and
although I will
be
say
unapologetically, like it's crazy to me.
Although the unfortunate reality is that that's not what we're seeing happen.
No,
we're not seeing we're seeing people trying to turn the countries that they've arrived to into the countries that they came from.
Or not even trying to turn them into it. They're trying to make them more accepting to their way of life. But that's not the truth. At the end of the day, you're coming into a country's way of life, and that is a choice. That's an individual choice.
Yeah.
And as much as we respect your culture and we want you to value it and be proud of it, we also want you to be proud and value ours. And that should be the number one priority, as far as I'm concerned.
I will say if there's one group I hate, it's cultural relativists, right? So a cultural relativist is someone who believes that inherently every single culture on Earth is exactly equal, right?
It's absurd.
I think, As you know, as much as I love to visit different countries and experience their cultures, I think there has to be a certain level of understanding that there are certain aspects of these things that in the year 2026 needs to change. And, you know, I'm not saying we should force these people into doing that, but shouldn't it be like, because, and, you know, there's people always make the arguments that, you know, oh, you know, look at Europe like 700 years ago. They had some of the same stuff, but it's like that was 700 years ago. And, you know, I believe in free will and self-determination, so I don't think we should be going over there and changing them.
No.
Like, you know, I mean, we saw George Bush trying to do some of that shit, or well, not George Bush, mostly Dick Cheney.
Well, also, like, you're dealing with a theocracy.
Yeah.
That doesn't just go away.
Yeah. But like
that is ingrained in the essence of.
But when we bring a lot of this over, we're seeing the sort of consequences of treating this other culture as if it could be completely assimilated. Like, I think certain aspects of certain cultures need to be sort of cut out if they are to be completely brought over.
Yeah,
to,
I don't think,
especially America or Canada.
Well, yeah, to speak freely, I don't think the laws of Islam really align with the Judeo-Christian value system that North America was built upon.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it can't mesh, but it can't be a priority. And and that's the beauty of North America. It is very multiculturalism. It has the ability to work for everyone, but there has to be that priority and that recognition of first I'm American, first I'm Canadian, first I'm Mexican. Like, it doesn't matter. That is so, it has to come from you.
Yeah. And
it's sad that isn't happening. Very sad.
Yeah. Although, and it's a thing in London now, which is also becoming more multicultural. It's been argued by, regardless of, what some people say, that it's come at the expense of the local culture. But we've seen that, for example, just yesterday or a couple of days ago, a restaurant owner in London who is very open about not wanting to sell halal meat. So, are you aware?
I did see this.
Are you aware of the tradition of what halal slaughter is?
Yes.
It's for those of the people listening who don't know, halal's according to because Islam is very much a religion where it's like the principle of Islam is that you have a thing that exists for a reason, and in order to fulfill that criteria, this is what you do.
Yes.
However, those are two separate texts, and both of them are treated as equally valid. So the tradition of halal exists simultaneously in that, one, we want to purify the animal, and we want to do it in a painless way.
Yes.
That's one thing. That's noble. Right?
I agree with that.
The other section is that in the same text, they say the way to do that is this. And the way that they do that is you slit the throat of the animal and you let it bleed out, which is, in my opinion, the most horrific way to kill an animal.
You're essentially drowning them in their own blood.
Yeah. And it's like, you get a lot of animal rights groups, and I'm very liberal on a lot of issues, including animal rights, which is, in my opinion, if you're going to kill an animal, it's a fact of life that you're going to eat meat. But if you're going to kill an animal, it should be stunned first.
Yeah, absolutely.
You shouldn't be doing this barbaric. Like, I saw a video once of them slaughter it's effectively ritual slaughter of a camel, where and the camel's got a massive neck. It ends up writhing around on the floor for about 35 seconds.
That's awful.
So, but because of the way that Islam works, you can't just take the original text of we should kill the animal painlessly
you have to take it all.
And make sure it's clean. You have to take the whole thing, and that means them cut it in a certain way. There have been certain politicians in the UK who are trying to ban halal slaughter. Never going to happen with the current way that the country's going. But anyway, this one restaurant owner in London, who is, I believe, Sikh.
Yeah, I saw that.
He has been very vocal online about his refusal to sell halal meat.
Didn't they raid his store the other day or something?
A bunch of I feel like I'm about to sound like a writer for the New York Post, where they always use a euphemism. A group of
local British men went down there.
A group of local youths, future doctors and engineers, showed up, and they started to cause trouble outside and even starting to get inside of this guy's restaurant.
Yeah.
And then the police turned up, and the police were being even before they arrested the restaurant owner, they were being aggressive to the restaurant owner. I feel like we've got these sort of, I don't want to use the phrase third world. We've got this in the United Kingdom now, we've got these non-British sort of tribal rivalries which are being allowed to play out in London streets, isn't that?
Yes.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's everything we've been talking about. Just not want, and I don't know if I like the word assimilation, because I don't want it to sound like you're giving up yourself, because that's not it at all. If anything, it should be seen as you're adding to yourself. You want to be here. It should be joyful. It shouldn't be this antagonistic thing. It should be willing. It should be
Like,
wanting to.
I feel like in its ideal state, the world is, to use very out there now, the world is a puzzle.
Yes.
And each culture is a different puzzle piece. However, they don't all currently fit together.
No.
Because some
We're
have
finding that out.
Because some have some sort of jagged edges. And at a certain point, you need to put those back in the machine and say, okay, this is how we
trim the edges.
we trim this part out, we get rid of this part, and suddenly it's all going to fit neatly. But that is still two things. One, it's making sure that the other culture is compatible, and two, it's the fact that you're putting them together, but you're not trying to make it one thing. You make it one thing, you lose it. You know, to quote The Incredibles, you know, if everyone's super, no one is. If everything is part of one culture, then there is no multiculturalism, and you just have a global culture, which is you lose the beauty of every single thing. Because at a certain point, if you had everything available, right, a bunch of stuff is going to get lost. You know, we've lost already a bunch of languages in the world. You know, you look at France. There used to be a culture in the south, the Occitanians.
Yeah.
You used to have the Normans and the Picards and the Burgundians and the Britons, the Bretons. But now it's just French. They all mixed together and they ended up with this one thing. And now, you know, the locals who are trying to maintain their culture, it's lost. They feel disconnected from where they've got.
I feel like that's happening more and more.
Yeah.
It's sad. But I think, and I hope you don't start to see reverse pockets, right? Like what we talk, where you see those secular things where you get like your group of, and I hope that's not the case, but it seems like we're on a one-way trip out.
Yeah. It's the unfortunate reality of globalization. And, you know, and I say this as someone who's trying to do corporate law in Hong Kong. Like, I understand that my city exists because of a certain level of globalization. But at the same time, there's a difference between globalization in trade, right? Well, there's globalization in trade and there's globalization in culture. Firstly, my opinion on globalization in trade is one thing, and it is not what you would expect considering, you know, being from Hong Kong. But globalization in culture, it's
weird when that started to mesh, when economics slowly moved into social. Like, it was very strange.
It used to be, you can only get rubber from Brazil, so we got to trade with the Brazilians.
Yeah, it wasn't a weird thing to have protectionist measures for your country.
Except for, you know, like, we need rubber, so we'll get it from the Brazilians because they're the only people who have rubber. And we need coffee and chocolate, so we'll get it from the Ivorians because they're pretty much the only people who can do that.
Okay.
Right? But now it's turned into you can trade everything with everyone. And now manufacturing has all been outsourced. It's all constantly even China is outsourcing manufacturing now. That's
race to the bottom. Like,
it's a race to the bottom, and eventually we're going to run out of places to race to.
Yeah, and
it feels
and
like,
then you're just going to it's all going to become the quality of life drops for everyone at that point.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
It feels like a game of musical chairs, you know, in manufacturing. When you have globalized manufacturing and you move it all to China because they're cheaper, the Chinese quality of life slowly rises, but it hits a peak because in order to keep the manufacturing jobs, they have to keep it low. Eventually, China makes the choice, you know what, we're not going to do that anymore. And then it shifts to Vietnam. And then from Vietnam, it shifts to Bangladesh. At a certain point, you're going to be left with a few countries who have got the manufacturing jobs, but they can't break out of that because the rest of the world has decided, you know what, you guys are the manufacturing. And it's not to say that by working in manufacturing, you have to have a shit quality of life. In fact, it used to be the opposite. You know, factory workers in America used to be some of the most, or in Britain used to be some of the more respected people. It used to be the average
job. You could support a whole family on it, right? Like Thomas Ford started the whole assembly line. Like that was the idea of the modern, like that was the American dream.
And then family. Like you look at, it's one thing that's crazy is you look at old TV shows and you look at the job that like whoever works in the family has, and they can support an entire family, have a house that they own, have multiple cars, and I'm talking nice cars. I'm talking, because I mean the cars that we have that are being made now kind of visually suck, and that's another thing, is that in general now we don't make things to look nice as well as function. It's just pure function and a race to the bottom to be cheap.
Function, access, efficiency. Like it just seems quick and easy. Get it out, get it done.
I mean, and it's the same thing with, for example, architecture.
Oh yeah.
You know, you look around parts of London. You look around like. Have you ever been to anywhere in Eastern Europe?
Just Greece.
Well, you look around. That's actually a decent example. You know, when you look out from. Have you been to, you know, the Parthenon on top of the hill?
Yep.
You know, when you look out at the rest of Greece, at the rest of Athens, it's a lot of very similar looking buildings, especially when you get further out there and it doesn't look that nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Athens, yeah. If I remember, Athens was kind of run down. Like it was very.
But you visit a place like Paris or Prague. I know you've been
Prague,
there.
gorgeous.
You look at Prague and all the buildings are nice, right? Because it used to be you would build a building not just to have whatever it is that you want to have in that building.
It itself was a landmark, essentially, right?
Like you look at photos of Paris and you compare that to photos of, and a great example of this is Warsaw, which was a city which had to be nearly entirely rebuilt after the Second World War.
Yeah.
I feel like the sort of push for efficiency, and on the one hand, it's a very capitalistic thing.
Okay.
To be trying to maximize shareholder value, and by therefore cutting corners everywhere else. And that all goes down to the original lawsuit, Dodge versus the Ford Motor Company.
Yep.
You know about that one?
Yep.
Fucking Dodge, man. But at the same time, it's a very communist thing where it has to be completely, you know, it's all about efficiency as well. Where you look at, so these two separate ideologies have ended up arriving in the same place. The capitalists have ended up going so far towards capitalism that you can't have nice things.
Well, it's all about profit.
It's all about profit. And the communists were like, you can't have nice things because nice is evil. And now we've just ended up with most new buildings being built just being ugly.
Yeah.
That, you know, it feels like that erodes the local culture as well.
Absolutely.
When every piece of architecture is either like brutalist, which is the sort of like Soviet concrete bullshit, or modernist, where you can go to anywhere in the world and see a modernist building. You know, like you'll see the same type of shit in like New York as you would in London or Zurich.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
It feels like you're eroding local culture.
It is pretty funny though to go to a place and not see a brand new industrialized building. Yeah, like it is quite astonishing. Like and you're looking around, and you're going, this is like, it's pretty cool that you guys have that here, where you have like certain threat. Like London's obviously a bit different, but you'll never see like a huge skyscraper in Brighton because there's so many regulations and restrictions.
And that's why I guess the locals really hate that one, but the I-360 they really hate that. But you know, I saw it. I saw it.
But again, it goes back to that's a protectionist thing. They're trying to protect a little bit of that culture. So
there's this one, you know, and at a certain point, change towards a more standardized thing can be good. Like there's this particular type of building material that they have in Brighton, which is like, you know, those like weird sort of half kind of concrete looking walls with a bunch of stones sticking out of it. Like that is apparently completely shit to have in your house. But that used to be like a specifically Sussex thing because they didn't have anything to build with. Okay. Right?
So just like a concrete mix of just...
They literally threw whatever they could. And apparently it's like on the inside you can get like water seeping through. So it just sucks to have. Yeah. That's a good example of how modernization has, you know, done well. But when you look at New York and you look at... compare, let's say, the Empire State Building, which is Art Deco, to the United... You know what the United Nations headquarters look like?
No idea. Where, in New York?
Yeah. It sucks. You know,
it doesn't surprise me.
Compare the Empire State Building to the United Nations headquarters.
Yeah, that's sad.
That's a piece of shit. You know,
it's an impressive building, but it has. There's nothing aesthetically pleasing about it whatsoever.
And that is actually the point. Yeah. When they built that building, they said we don't want anybody to be able to identify anything from it. Other than that, we don't want anybody to feel any pride or anything in there.
But you know what? That's one where I'm actually okay with.
The United Nations, I guess it makes sense. But
I would expect that to be bland.
Because it's, you know, they didn't want anybody to see any sort of culture in it because then they might think that it's biased. But then, when that has ended up spreading to the rest of the world, it's fucked.
Well, I don't think it has necessarily spread to the whole world. Like, that's what's so odd. Like, that's... I don't feel...
That style of architecture, though, where it's a bunch of glass panes... Yeah. I feel like we see that more and more often than we do... Like,
North America, yes. I don't know about here. Like, yeah, I guess... you guys aren't really building with stone anymore.
There's a district in... there's a district in Paris, and it's... Thankfully, they have laws in Paris. where basically, other than this one area really far on the outskirts, you can't build a skyscraper. So, which makes so much sense because they've had literally the entire city is designed around the Eiffel Tower, where no matter where you're looking,
You should see it.
if you get to, if you go towards, if you're in an alleyway, you go toward, you can see
it.
You can see the main.
It's really cool.
You can see the main street, and once you
Absolutely.
get to that main street, it's all a ring around the Eiffel Tower. But then in the distance, you have all of that, this sort of modernist stuff, and I don't know if that doesn't look super great to me.
You need your business areas, though.
You do need your business.
I don't mind a financial district.
I don't mind a financial district as long as it's not. I really like it in Hong Kong, where but in Hong Kong we've got a thing where each building, even though it's like modernist style stuff, is still.
And I think that goes to our common theme, though, that we've been talking about this whole time. Is just like we don't like. There's nothing wrong with growth and change, but there has to be that respect of
the local identity. And all
yes,
that.
that cannot be diminished. It cannot come at the expense.
Try to appreciate beauty.
Absolutely.
Like look at some of these are some buildings in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, gorgeous.
It's modernist.
Even that little bit of outside aesthetic, like the white lines on that big one.
Yeah. Like
it's not
you can
much,
still,
but it's just something to add,
and,
add a little character to it.
Nowadays, if you tried to, for reference, that was the IFC. If you Google, I believe, IFC building, I think. Of course, because I'm in fucking. Oh no, that's not the IFC. It's someone else. It might have been It might be Bank of China Tower. But like you look at Google. If for those of you who want to know what specific building Jackson's describing, it's the Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong, right? It's a modernist building where it's a bunch of glass panes and but they have these lines that sort of break it up, so it's not just monotony.
Yeah, it's just it's just a bit nicer to look at.
Exactly, and that probably cost them a lot of extra money.
It did,
but fucking do it.
But right away though, what is it?
Right away,
it's the building with the white lines.
It's that Bank of China building. It's not just all of the same shit over and over again.
And I think that's worth it for like the expense for that. That's worth it.
Not everything has to be purely profit driven, because that's how we end up with shit like with iPhones that are built that only last you like 3 years now. I don't know.
It just drops the quality of life for everyone. Eventually, you're gonna have and I'm a big trickle down economics guy. I think it works. I do. I've always believed in it.
But trickle down economics doesn't work when you have a dude with a vacuum stood on the top.
No.
Being those same shareholders and those same like investment banks who are buying up single family homes.
Absolutely. No, that alone ruins it. There has to be a balance, like anything.
Exactly.
And it's simply not happening in today's day and age. Like that, it's a weird system though we're in though. Like capitalism, I truly believe is the best system.
Same, yeah.
Without a doubt.
There's no way to do anything else.
It's failing. It is clearly failing because my country, Canada, the average income is $30,000.
It's lower. The average income in Canada, and Canada's supposed to be like, oh, it's America, but a little bit better because we don't have all these other places dragging us down.
Our dollar sucks. So like
the median income in Canada is lower than the median income in Mississippi, which is always the example of. That's the go-to state people, other than like Alabama. It's the place that people. Mississippi is the place that people from Alabama rag on.
Yeah,
that's how supposedly bad it's supposed to be.
Canada's so poor right now; it's not even funny. And we have we're so filled with natural resources. It makes me sick, and we do nothing about it.
Yeah,
it's so awful.
It's the same thing in Australia. I know a lot about the stuff in Australia because it's just fucked up. Like if you live in Alaska. You get a yearly dividend from the Alaskan government, this is your share of Alaska's oil revenue. This is your share of Alaska's mineral revenue.
That's what I would love for Canada to do.
In Canada, they don't do that. And in Australia, it's even worse, where the government is not only not getting any of the revenue from the mining companies or from the oil or the natural gas companies, but when those companies, and because they do it so often, when they inevitably fuck up and spill a bunch of shit into the world, what actually ends up happening is the Central Australian government pays for the cleanup.
Oh wow!
And they give they have some ridiculously small fines, which are like less than 1/100th of a percentage point of the yearly profit of their company. Not even the revenue, just the profit.
And that's kind of what I was getting at when I said like trickle down economics. I mean it by like the country. When the country itself is doing well and all the corporations of the country are doing well, the lowest rung is still doing well.
Yeah.
on a global scale, and then you'll see your dollar will be worth more. Your spent like everything becomes easier for life.
And when these companies are paying more, and I'm anti-tax a lot of the time.
Oh
but when
my God.
but when the companies are, I would rather see a company's profit either go at least a larger proportion of it either to the government, if they were run properly, which is a whole other thing.
I have no problem with taxes. I have a problem with government.
I have a problem with
my taxes were going to a well-oiled machine. That would be a different story.
I have a problem when the taxes are being levied on the little man.
Yeah.
Instead of like the corporations or the billionaires. I have another problem when the government is spending it stupidly. Like, how much did the U.S.
Like billions of dollars to Ukraine?
Oh yeah.
Fighting a proxy war when you don't have a military yourself? Yeah.
Like,
makes sense.
Like, I think there was one thing which was $50 million spent on like condoms in Mozambique.
Oh.
From the American government.
Yeah, and I can't believe that was so contentious and that was such a hot issue to audit the government. Like, are we serious right now?
Exactly.
Everybody should be in favor of that. That's everybody's money. Absolutely, hold these people accountable. And Canada's in a serious problem right now because half our country is employed by the government.
Exactly.
You're never getting out of that.
That shouldn't be the fucking thing. And when
you're putting yourself in a self-eating snake,
I could see half of the country being employed by the government if the government is taking on a lot more stuff. But now we're seeing every year the government's taking on less and less, and all of these people employed by the government, they're just middlemen.
Oh my God, it's a job placement program. Like,
exactly.
How many
people do we need working in human resources?
None.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Well,
no, you need like a couple guys to do.
You need people to
guys
absolutely,
to do payroll,
but I'm just
But you don't need like.
And just people to ensure everything runs smoothly. I do believe in HR, but like there's so much, and this sounds bad. And I don't like, but like this is the best term off the top of my head. It's trimming the fat. And
exactly.
And at the end of the day, you have workhorses and you have people that take advantage of a system. And government employees typically don't.
Look at Minnesota.
There's not a lot of room of growth there. You get in and you're in. You get a nice paycheck. You get a pension. You get benefits. Why would you ever aim to pursue higher?
Exactly.
Right. It doesn't push people to be the best that they can be.
You hear so many stories of people like, for example, people from the former Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
It would always be get a government job. Government job is safe.
Well, everybody talks about that.
When that's the ambition is to get a government job because it's safe. What the fuck are you doing?
It's
clearly,
embarrassing.
It's a sign that
what does that say
your
for
country
your life?
doesn't. It's in Australia they call it tall poppy syndrome, where if you do well you get cut down.
Yeah.
And so the ambition is to be mediocre.
You should all, and that's what's such a weird thing about wealth with me. Like when someone gets upset, like eat the rich, tax the rich. Like, yes, you do have your odd person that literally woke up one day and was like, "Oh my God, I'm a gazillionaire. They were born into it. They were very lucky."
Yeah.
Yeah. But you also have the guy that has been grinding since he was 18 years old, worked like a dog his entire life.
Well, actually, in my opinion,
built up, right?
With every single example of the person who was born a gazillionaire.
Yeah.
That's the result of somebody 1, 2, 3 generations back who was that guy who grinded. And look, I believe that you should. I believe that the rich should have to pay their fair share, but at the same time, if you completely tax wealth, especially shit like inheritance,
it's got to be celebrated too.
Like achievement should be celebrated. But
Elon Musk, that's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like I look at that guy and I'm awe-inspired. Do I think he should be have that much money? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He should still have a lot because that's what he's earned.
And he shouldn't be reprimanded for having that much.
Yeah.
It should be like, oh my God, can we believe that this guy's actually like
what an achievement.
Yeah. How about that? What an achievement. Like but no one from mainstream media would ever say that. They're just going to look to rip.
Unless it's one of their guys.
And even then, like you'd be surprised. Like it's sad. It is sad. Because I think that as a kid, that's something you looked at as a kid, right? You think heroes. So as you get older, you start looking at these inspiring people. Why would you ever want to put yourself in that position?
Exactly. And when the people that are pointed to as
why would you ever want to pursue something more if you're just going to be ripped on it?
We used to build statues of guys like Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
George Washington, those type of people. And now who do we build statues of? God,
Athletes.
yeah. And sure,
And I think
you should be a lot of those guys' hard work. But at the same
No, that's not discouraging athletes at all. I think that's just where society is now. That's our common ground.
yeah.
We can't.
Those are I think maybe that's the one group of people we've agreed, like, you know what,
Right.
we're allowed to
celebrate
we're allowed
them.
to still celebrate their achievements.
We're not as much worried about what's going on in the back of their lives. As even though as much as we are, I don't think it's as powerful. Like, I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo's belief system is as important as, say, someone who as a major business mogul or something.
I think we should be praising, the upper I think we should just be praising and, idolizing the upper echelon of everything.
Absolutely,
Not just the upper
regardless of
echelon,
what it is.
Not the mediocre to upper echelon of specifically athletes or celebrity culture in general. Why the fuck is Kim Kardashian? Well, I know why she's famous, but why
You
the
know
fuck
what?
is she worshipped?
You know what? I
That's
look at that.
ridiculous.
I look at that and I go, holy fuck. As much as I think she is about as smart as this table, you have to sit back, and I do. I'm like, wow, look at what that family has done, literally based off one bad night, some drugs, and a lot of wine. Right? And they've actually built a fortress.
and helping acquit O.J. Simpson.
Literally.
Yeah. People always forget that the Kim Kardashian's grandfather was one of the guys on the O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah. He was a big factor in it.
Kim Kardashian's grandfather, Robert Kardashian, he's one of the few people on that sort of O.J. trial that I have a little bit of respect for. Mm-hmm. Because apparently he was friends with O.J. in college.
Oh, really?
And apparently, so he was studying law. He got his law degree. Apparently, he stopped practicing law for like years.
Just took a break?
He just stopped practicing law, and then he only
Did he come back for OJ's
he just
case?
became a businessman, and then he only actually came back.
That's pretty.
He had to renew his bar card.
Yeah.
He stopped practicing more than 20 years before the OJ case, and he renewed his license and all that specifically to come back and do what he could to help his buddy OJ.
Yeah.
To be on the one hand, I am 80% sure that OJ did it.
Oh, I think it's
No, because I heard a very good case that it could have been OJ's son.
maybe.
Could have been. Regardless, it was somebody named Simpson.
Yeah.
I think it was a sham that the jury acquitted him, especially considering what we found out now. Like, for example, I've got a clip somewhere.
And then the civil case, obviously.
The civil case, it obviously had so much of that was, firstly, the prosecutors were horrible. They didn't interview certain people during the trial.
Yep.
Even though they'd interviewed them in the lead up, they were like, you know what, we've just got such a great case anyway that we don't need to bring this witness on. It was also the politicians sort of trying to pander to, I guess, race relations at the time.
Yep, that was a big thing.
They moved the case out of the county that it took place in.
Well, what was the time frame on that with the LA riots? Like, it had to have been.
The OJ trial was in '94, and Rodney King was in '92.
Oh yeah, it was still hot.
Yeah.
Not that it is. Isn't ever.
Yeah, it's like, and then you have a clip. You have a clip of one of the jurors on the case was recently interviewed, and she straight up says, "Oh yeah, 70% of us thought that he was guilty, but we acquitted him as payback for Rodney King." What? That should never. That should be, respectfully, that should be a prison sentence for those people.
Well,
because you're abusing. In my opinion, the jury trial is one of the greatest inventions ever.
Well,
and they're trying to take it away now in the UK.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't heard that.
In the House of jury trials are only. There's a bunch of votes about jury trials.
I don't know how I feel about jury trials. I like the idea.
I think they're the most important thing in the there are three, in my opinion, there are three pillars of the justice system. One is the jury.
Yeah.
Two is appropriate guidelines for what the punishment is.
Yep.
I think the jury should decide guilty, not guilty. I don't think the jury should be given out.
No, you're not.
I don't think the jury should be given out.
Don't
the
have a say in
punishment so much.
sentencing in any.
With some of these civil suits, like you watch a movie about like some environmental lawsuit, and then the jury's like, actually, we're going to give you 200, even though you were only asking for 30, we're going to give you $200 million. I'm like, on the one hand, that's great because these guys were polluting the environment. Fuck them. On the other hand, how the fuck have you?
How'd you arrive at that?
How'd you get to that number? Right. So second is appropriate guidelines for punishment. Third is I forgot what I was going to say. The third one is. Third is appropriate. Third is what happens before and afterwards. You need to have law enforcement that is going to, if you have some kid that does something stupid, right? Like maybe you let him off with a slap on the wrist. You don't take the kid to trial. You don't prosecute, right? But at the same time, if you have like a repeat offender, you have to make sure that no matter what, that ends up going to trial. And then you have to have a prison system
that will hold that individual,
which is focused on rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation is such a I'm in Crime and Punishment right now, and I'm sure you should take it. It's a good one. It's very theoretical, but it's what that class is all about. Just talking about like where sentencing came from, how do we arrive at these conclusions, and then rehabilitation, the prison system as a whole. And for a large part, it's like, and I did the math. I couldn't help it. I'm an economics guy, so I'm sitting in the back. I look up. I'm like, how much? So the UK prison system, it costs $4.3 billion to run that system each year. Annually.
Well, I don't like to look with something like that. I don't really take the current numbers that seriously at all, because you look at, for example, the amount that is spent on the NHS.
The reason why I look at those numbers is because how much does it cost? Like, think about the benefits that a prisoner in a Western society gets. It's ridiculous.
I think
what they're entitled to.
Well, and this is getting on to the other thing I'm going to ask you about. In my opinion, rehabilitation is only works as one side of a coin. The other side is understanding who can get rehabilitated. So
that was beautiful.
So, for example, you have a serial killer. If you have a serial killer, or you have a guy who's, let's say, a repeat offender, he's been into prison. Let's say you have a guy.
Yep.
Goes to prison. And in this prison, it's a system where rehabilitation is the focus. In my opinion, that's the only way to do things. Because if you're not going to rehabilitate somebody, what's the point in having them? And I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. You teach him skills to be able to get a job. You get him a placement at a job afterwards, right, as a mechanic or some shit. He just kills another person.
Yep.
Goes back to prison. Should he go back to prison, or should there be a more permanent end to the problem?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of 3-strike rule, especially when it comes to serious offenses.
Not with certain offenses as well. Not even 3. I think when each person, if they're sentenced to a crime, when you have the jury who says they're guilty, I think there should be a psychological evaluation. Can this person be rehabilitated, or are they just straight up fucked in the head? If they're straight up fucked in the head, in my opinion, the most humane thing to do to them, to everybody else in society, firstly, you're not wasting government money. You're not wasting the money of the people that could be spent on other things to improve lives. You're not risking that they get out and they do more heinous shit, because the amount of crimes you hear of, like the amount of shit that's been done, like people pouring acid on someone else's face.
Yeah, absurd.
Or some of the stuff that you hear about with the Epsteins, that's horrible.
But in that 3-strike rule, I mean, just like typically the criminal, it progressively gets worse. That's typically how it goes. Rehabilitation is an interesting word when it comes to prison systems, because it typically makes the individual, when they go in, if it's something terrible and there is a path to get out, maybe the rehabilitation happens. But typically, I think you find more often than not, they succumb to the prison system and being...
Well, that is one thing is, if somebody is in prison and they are actively hindering the rehabilitation of others, I think that should count as a strike.
Absolutely.
It's a big problem with.
But that happens so much. The drugs, there's so much more crime in prisons than is known to the average person.
Do you know the story of how El Salvador got as fucked up as it is?
Oh yeah.
So a bunch of, for the people at home who don't know, a bunch of Salvadorans went to prison in America, and they were like small time drug runners or something.
Yep.
In prison, they were taught by actual gangsters how to have a gang. And then they exported that system back to El Salvador, and suddenly the whole country taken over by gangs.
Yeah.
I love what they've done over there, where they've straight up been like, "Oh, you have a gang tattoo? Obviously, you're a fucking gang member."
Yeah. Let's call a spade, and
exactly.
And this sounds bad, but let's stop trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yeah.
Like that 3-strike rule, and that's what I mean. If there's a pattern and there's a recognized pattern, then let's address it. And
now, there's I normally hate quoting people.
Yeah.
Because I think it's mostly.
It depends.
I think it's
I like
depending on the circumstance. Yeah. I think a lot of people will just throw out quotes to sound smart because they can't think for themselves. But
I think a person, if they use a quote and it
has a point.
Has a point,
and they've demonstrated that they can otherwise think.
Yes, I think that speaks to intelligence, right? If they're able to have that recollection.
I think, a quote not as a means to justify an argument, but a quote as a means to summarize what you're saying.
Yep.
Because somebody else already put it perfectly. Mm-hmm. This is one of the few times I'm going to quote someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam Smith, apparently, because it's attributed to him, said, "Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent." I think that is very appropriate.
That speaks volume.
It does. Like you look at the murder rate in El Salvador. And I can't take a person seriously when they cry out about the human rights of the people in these Salvadoran prisons. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, I don't care. They were murdering people, and even when they weren't murdering someone, they were otherwise ruining lives by either raping someone or getting someone hooked on drugs or doing all this other heinous shit. When I see these guys kneeling down on the floor of the prison, if anything, my one thought is, there's too many of these guys, and how many of these guys are so completely irredeemable that we should just cull them?
How many are playing the game? They're just waiting until they can get back out.
Waiting until some foreign government tries to destabilize Bukele and what he's doing because it makes him look bad. I think. Look, if a person is just so completely fucked, I think the death penalty is the only appropriate.
Absolutely, I don't disagree.
There should be a certain standard for when that's applied.
Yeah,
but either there should be two parts: either the death penalty, or they should be put in a place where they can be rehabilitated and actually integrated back into society.
Well, and even building off that quote where it's mercy to the guilty, you're hurting the innocent, and that goes back to previously where I was talking about cost. And the reason why I look at the cost and I get upset about it is because at least in Canada, obviously it's pounds here, but it's it costs £50,000 annually to hold a prisoner. And then you go back to quality of life of a British person. The average wage is a $30,000 salary.
Yeah.
Where's the justification here? You actually have people living their free lives at I would argue, possibly a lesser quality. They don't have the same benefits. They don't have the same, and it's crazy to me. I don't understand how it can be justified. I support privatization in prisons largely, but to an extent, it's a bit of both. I think you have to because it challenges the norm. Otherwise, you're just gonna.
But I think in a rehabilitation-based system, and I don't mean like the American or the British rehabilitation system. I mean like a Scandinavian style one.
Okay.
Where they're actually being, and not necessarily they're being given a TV in the room, but they're being I don't think these guys should have TVs in the rooms. I think that they should have a woodworking class, they should have a mechanic class, so that they can learn a skill. Yeah. I don't think privatizing that would be so good because when you think about it, if you have a privatized prison, what is the profit motive? Getting them back in prison. So I don't think that would really work with rehabilitation.
But we're already finding ourselves there, and it's coming at the cost of the taxpayer.
Yeah.
So it's like
I think
the system is broken, but
a complete overhaul of the system.
I don't think I'm talking like misdemeanors and I don't think or maybe it's the opposite. Honestly, now that I'm sitting here talking about it, maybe it's the ones that you know what, are so far gone, they can't be rehabilitated.
Well,
And
I just think those guys should be executed.
Yeah, well,
you know, you have some serial rapist or some child predator, and they can't be rehabilitated. Just get rid of them.
Yeah.
What's the point in having them around?
Well, yeah, it goes to a whole other side of the coin. That conversation of.
And I was talking to a dude the other day who was like, "Do you not value human life?" Yeah, I value human life so much that I
don't want to see it like that.
I value.
It's too precious.
I value human life. That. What about all these other lives that would be fucked up if these guys were let out again?
Well, and this goes to the homeless situation as well. Like issues like what is the right answer for that?
Yeah, I think
because these people, they don't want help. They don't want to, like, you can go up to them and offer them prospects of a better life. Hey, do you want a job? Hey, do you want to, like, they just want drugs.
End up ruining it.
No, they just want drugs.
I think that they should be kept. I think that homeless people should be, a lot of these guys who, if they're given an opportunity to help themselves, they don't take it. I think that they need to be put in an environment where
I just don't think you can have it on the street, and I think it needs to be state funded. Like,
I think they need to be, a lot of these homeless people need to be put in an environment where they're sort of forced to, maybe a prison.
It can't be called a prison. It has to be against, but that's how it is phrased. It has to be against your will, and it's against your will rehab.
Exactly.
And it's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. You're not going to sit on the street and terrorize families. You're not, like, it's just not. We're done.
Yeah.
And
you're not going to leave needles around that can hurt someone.
We're going to dock you. And if it happens, how many times where you're caught in this position where you're out of it, you're on the street again,
Rehab.
Like, but you can only do that so many times, and then we get back to our decision. What is human life? Do you value human life? What is precious? Is this person capable of being helped? Or are they, like, it's...
Yeah, I can see that.
It's interesting. But not as bad here. It's not as bad here. Vancouver is terrible right now.
When I first came to the UK, I had been to the UK before as a tourist. Mm-hmm. But when I first came here for university, my mum the same day flew out to Vancouver for work.
Yeah.
And she was just like,
it's disgusting.
It was her first time in Canada. And, you know, she'd seen all these photos of, like, the beautiful hills behind the city.
Yeah.
And she ends up in a car on her way to the hotel, and it's just...
Oh, the stories are disgusting.
It's horrible.
And
the amount of... There's, like... and it's the same thing in some parts of San Francisco, but not nearly as bad. But when the fact that in San Francisco there's an app to track human shit on the streets... Mm-hmm. tells you that there's a problem there.
Last time I was in Ottawa, our capital city, like literally 2 blocks away. It was middle of the day. I'm in traffic. I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we were like, I literally looked to the left of me, and guy just goes down. And I was just like, holy crap.
Fuck.
And I'm like, do we call someone? And like, I didn't even have to call someone. Ambulance came out. There was behind me. Saw it happen. Burp, burp. Went up, and they just start putting and I'm just like, and he gets up and he gets mad. He gets mad at the guy.
Exactly.
And this has all happened in like a 5-minute, and I'm just like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with what? Like, it's just absurd to me that that's where we are, and that's just being accepted now in society. But
yeah.
But again, how do you deal with it? Because I'm all for freedom and I'm all for personal choice. And if someone wants to choose to destroy their life like that, I guess, who am I to say?
Yeah, but as long as it's not infringing on other people.
And that's the problem.
And then depending on what your definition of infringing is, you could say, oh, you're infringing on my tax money. My tax money could be used to build a few new subway stops, or it could be used to fucking give these guys... Mm-hmm. Infinite healthcare after they destroy themselves, you know.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. It just goes back to nationalists and globalism, man. It all comes back to there because it's largely Canada too. The amount of money that's spent on globalism, and I shake my head at it. And I'm not a big socialist at all, and Canada is a very socialist country, and there's no reason why that country could not be prosperous in the socialist fact. It is like we have free healthcare. We have one of the best, we have a fantastic system. It is just heavily depleted right now.
Isn't
and there's no reason for it.
I think I saw a stat though, didn't Canada have 100,000 assisted deaths or some shit?
Yeah, off suicide. Yeah,
that
got passed a couple of years ago. It was absurd. I think
it's
called the MAID Act.
That's crazy.
It's that I've been against that very much, but yeah, it's a struggling system, but we're not helping ourselves.
And
we're
there's
not
so much-
investing in ourselves.
and
We're investing in Ukraine. We're investing in. It's just all proxy BS.
Yeah.
And then it's absurd.
And Ukraine's one of those things where literally, I think Trump said like a very reasonable thing at some point. He's like, look, you've got these 4 provinces in Ukraine which literally speak Russian. Why if they were just part of Russia, and then suddenly that was the hard line?
Yeah, I don't
Fucking
know.
problem solved. But Zelensky's like, oh no, we need to have more fraud so that I can get a shitload more money, and all of his generals can get plastic surgery again.
And that's what I really get upset about people. And I thought it would stop with COVID. I thought COVID was going to be the end. People were going to start looking at mainstream media and going, okay, maybe I should take a step back. Because before this all started, Ukraine was widely known as one of, if not the most corrupt country in the world. That has not changed. So Justin Trudeau sent more money to Ukraine than has ever been sent to a country by Canada. The billions of dollars that have come out of the Canadian government to Ukraine is disgusting.
Yeah.
The finance minister for Canada during Justin Trudeau's time was Chrystia Freeland. During Justin Trudeau's run, when he was...
Oh, Jesus.
The lights are flickering. You heard me talking about Justin.
Yeah.
He's casting spells. So anyways... So during his tenure, when he was trying to rerun again and Canada just hated him and he realized he had to step down, it was widely known by voters in Canada. Everyone wanted his whole cabinet had to get out. Chrystia Freeland being one of them. It was an absolute shit show. It was a mess what they did to Canada. So that's what Liberals in Canada were sold when they were voting for. Do you know where Chrystia Freeland is now after being removed?
No.
She is currently running Ukraine's finance.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, it's so blatant corruption, it's not even funny. So you're telling me that there's no bounce back going there? And she is leading Ukraine in the infrastructure, in the
And that's the same shit with like...
so disgusting.
And people will rightfully give a guy like Dick Cheney a bunch of shit because he invaded Iraq and then he goes back to working for oil companies when Iraq has some of the largest oil deposits in the world. The same standard should be applied to this woman with Ukraine. Absolutely.
It's disgusting. Nobody is like, but that's Canadian politics. Like, there's not going to be any investigative journalism in Canada.
It's an unfortunate
unless it's coming from outside Canada, which is so crazy.
It's an unfortunate thing with politics in general now, where politics feels like playing Mario Kart. You know, you have if you're the guy and if you're the best guy, you don't necessarily win. Because something ends up happening.
You get the rocket.
You get hit by the blue shell in the front. You don't have to be the worst guy because that guy that guy's just shit. You don't want to be the best guy. You just want to be mediocre.
You want to be right at 3rd and 4th. And Poland. Look at Poland right now. I am so impressed, and that country's just going to continue to blow.
Yeah, I saw. I've got a statistic here. The rate, for example, Poland is doing so much like.
And their money market's huge right now.
Should be doing. Where Poland's rate of rapes is per 100,000 people, and this in general, like, I hate the fact that we even have to look at this statistic.
I hate those. I know it's so. That's why I laugh because there's nothing to laugh about, but it's so sad.
But the fact that you have to laugh. The rate of per 100,000 people, there are 1.3 rapes in Poland. Now. It's one, you could make an argument that maybe law enforcement isn't doing their job in reporting things. In Austria, who does have a little bit of a problem with certain things, but not nearly as much as, say, Germany, it's 25.5.
Wow.
Norway, 42.1. And they have... Okay, Norway and Sweden are the two most direct countries you can always compare to each other, right? Yep. Norway, 42.1 rapes per 100,000 people. Sweden, 84.4.
Yeah, Sweden's in trouble right now.
The fact that Sweden has multiple places which are literally described as no-go zones. The fact that, and this is, I saw there were so many.
And you know what? It's justified because it's culture. It was culturally acceptable for these people.
Yeah,
but it isn't now that you're. They don't know any better. But it's
like I saw a video of this guy. He went to South Africa and he was interviewing the locals. Well, actually not the locals, given the history of South Africa. But he was interviewing the locals or the people considered local, even though they all come from Cameroon.
Yeah.
He was interviewing them, and he was like, they were talking about how they were raping this woman, or how or every once in a while they'll just rape someone. I'm like, what the fuck? And then he says, do you not feel bad? And they're like, yeah, no, sometimes, you don't know where they've been, and then the next day you find out you have AIDS, and then you feel really bad.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, that is what makes you feel bad. What the fuck? But you look at, I saw a headline, and this is objectively hilarious. Denmark, or objectively hilarious and sad. It can be both. Denmark implements border restrictions with Sweden due to Swedes coming over and committing terrorist attacks. Swedes, sure. Swedes, air quotes, Swedes are such a problem in Denmark now that they're having to close that border.
Yeah.
And when Sweden is one of the official rape capitals of the world, seriously, they have one of the highest rates in the entire world.
I just don't understand why we're playing ignorant.
Exactly.
Like, why? For who? Like, this is the weirdest part of me, where the liberal ideology starts to seep in with immigration, because there's no aligning factors whatsoever with typically these third world countries where a lot of migration tends to come from, and there's no alignment whatsoever. Like, I feel like this liberal ideology thrives in Western society because it has the ability to. Like, I feel like that gets taken for granted so often, and it was so, like, just watching the Palestine rallies and everything, and seeing who was all in support, and I'm just it's very concerning, because it's like, how much research and how much knowledge do you genuinely have on this subject, or are you just following the masses? And that's a problem.
Look, and people waving the flag of the Iranian regime. I support
the Iranian people are cheering. They're yelling, "Thank you, Trump."
I don't think that the Americans or the Israelis should be allowed to completely take over Iran. I think the Iranian people should actually be able to decide for themselves.
I'm in full support of that. They were,
and not have this theocratic regime.
They were free.
But it feels like in the modern world. It feels like in the modern world we're not allowed to have nuance.
No.
Like, I'm pro the right of the Palestinian people to not get murdered.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean I'm pro-Palestine, because unfortunately the Palestinian government in Gaza, at least, is controlled by a literal terrorist organization.
Yeah, honestly.
But
I don't support Netanyahu.
Exactly.
But I support Netanyahu's right to defend himself also.
Yeah.
But there's a limit, like with anything, and it goes back to how we started this. Everything's balanced, and right now everything's out of balance. It seems there's so much push-pull, and the pendulum is not. It's not centering. It's going all over.
Yeah, it feels like, and it goes back to the conversation from earlier. I empathize with these people who want a better life for themselves. Come to the West. But at the same time, the people in the West got to think, is them being here going to make my life better, or is it going to make my life worse? And the unfortunate thing is, when you look at not even the crime statistics, you look at the economics of it all, where, for example, over the course of the average low-wage migrant who comes to the UK will cost the UK government £600,000 over the course of their life, and that's the average, right? Every migrant that crosses into Britain illegally, and with that, it's another thing.
Are there crime statistics with illegal immigration, per chance?
Depends on the country.
You guys don't have them?
The UK doesn't release it anymore.
Yeah, I would be very interested to see.
But every migrant that crosses into Britain illegally costs £41,000 in their first year to take care of. £41,000 per person to take care of.
The Manchester bombing, that was the most insane. That was the best piece of journalism I'd ever read in my life. The complete audit that they did to understand that the UK taxpayer funded the Manchester bombing. And then you have Ariana Grande coming out in support of Palestine. Yeah. And it's like, what are you doing? What is going on?
And now in the UK, firstly in the USA, we have a guy who's mayor who hangs out with a Twitch streamer who says that America deserved 9/11. Then we have a guy who's currently, I shit you not, a guy is running for Birmingham City Council. in the United Kingdom,
Yep.
he's a Yemeni guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a convicted terrorist.
Oh,
Oh, it gets worse. He was in the government of Yemen convicted him as a terrorist.
Great.
Do you know what he was planning on doing?
Mm-hmm.
Bombing the British embassy in Yemen, and he is. Why the fuck
Yeah,
is
see,
he?
that's
why is he even in the United Kingdom in the first place?
Yeah.
And secondly, why is he allowed to
Where's the
run for
pride?
office in Birmingham? Where's the pride in your country?
Like, no, I genuinely like. And hearing that actually gets that's I wasn't upset at all, but now like
That's fucked up.
hearing that, yeah, it's embarrassing, and that's where like it goes back to like being Canadian. I don't really feel proud. I've lost that pride because I go home now and I'm just like I look around and it's what is going on? This isn't the country I grew up in. It's not what I recognize. It's a joke. The city is a joke. Thank God I don't live in the city. But I couldn't imagine spending every day there. I think I'd lose my mind because it doesn't feel like Canada. It feels so foreign. It feels out of pocket. It just doesn't, there's no congruency.
You have people who hate the country in the country.
It's so weird.
Support the country you're in or live in the country you support.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's just
It's
when you have people who have actively
the
tried.
Italians did it right.
What did the Italians do?
Just how they migrated.
How they
Yeah,
integrated.
like the early, they were proud of their heritage, absolutely,
And
but
yet,
they were
at the time-
unapologetically American. They were
yet-
Italian American.
At the time, certain groups were like, "Oh, I don't like these guys."
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that a couple hundred years later, the Italians go on about it all the time.
No, and and I think you see it more and more now. You see those generations; those are unapologetically Americans now.
Like, look
They're-
at the Rizzler. What a guy!
that guy. That's not even a true Italian anymore. That once was. You can tell, but that is.
The Italian American, right?
Yeah, it's
The Italians have undoubtedly contributed so much, and they have integrated. You know, you look at the staple, and one thing I like is you look at the staple American foods.
yes.
You have a hamburger, which comes from Germany. You have
Well, North America. Yeah, it's
you
all
have
so
you have a hot dog, which actually no, that also comes from Germany.
yeah.
We're just fucking great.
Pizza.
You have pizza, which
Italy.
comes from Italy.
Like,
you have like ramen comes from China. You know,
It's
you
awesome.
have all these different things,
And it's
and integration gave you that, rather than trying to be separate and always trying to fight your neighbors because they're different.
It's the foundation of North America. And that's why I have I love the idea of immigration, but it has to be sustainable and it has to support your country. It can't come at the cost of your identity.
Okay, I may have to correct one thing I just said. Ramen is Japanese, but fuck. I literally when I was saying that, I'm
I
like,
had a craving for ramen the other day.
ramen is Japanese, but apparently it was brought to Japan by Chinese people. So maybe the modern ramen is a very Japanese thing, but the origins of it are Chinese, I guess.
Huh.
It's a Japanese adaptation of Chinese wheat noodle soup. Okay, it's
And
Japanese. then.
sushi's Japanese too.
Sushi's
right?
Japanese. Sushi's great, but it's a bit more of a rich person thing, so I wasn't going to necessarily say that that's the.
No.
But also, you know what's a great, and I don't like globalization in the way of outsourcing, but you know what's a great example of globalization?
What?
Sushi.
Because we got it.
No, because they even have it to begin with. So in Japan, let me make sure I'm saying the right fish. Salmon, right? Japan has a lot of salmon that they fish out of the Pacific. They don't eat it. They don't eat it raw because it's filled with parasites.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, Norway had too much salmon. But it's Atlantic salmon and North Sea salmon, which doesn't have the same parasites. They successfully exported it to Japan, and they were like, hey, you guys can use this for sushi. And now one of the two main types of sushi, alongside tuna, all of that fish is coming from Norway.
That's fascinating.
That's a good example of globalization.
Like that's pretty, yeah. But supply and demand, like that's absolutely.
Exactly. Rather than all this
You're
other
filling-
bullshit
yeah.
that we have where it's like, oh yeah, all of our cars have to be manufactured
Yeah.
there because it's cheaper, or only 3 countries in the entire world are able to have anything of a shipbuilding industry: Japan, South Korea, China. You know, you look at the ports of Boston, the Philadelphia, of Hampton Roads in Virginia, and it's all fucked, other than for military applications.
Yeah. Also, that's strictly economic, right? Like they're not initiatives. Global initiatives are the biggest killer. Like I don't get it. the whole like that whole Paris Agreement.
Look, I
insane.
love the environment, and I think that
I
we
do
should,
too.
I think that we should
I'm
protect it as much as possible. Which is why I think that the companies should have to pay their fair share of environmental tax if they fuck something up. But at the same time, I feel like we shouldn't be putting the burden on the average individual. What the fuck is a paper straw going to... Actually, it's been recently proven that a paper straw is worse for the environment than a plastic one because of the glue. Right? And it's actually not... It's not necessarily poisoning you, but it's at least,
it's not good
perfect,
for you.
Not perfect for your health. Right?
Yep.
Or because of some fucking retarded kid with a science fair project where he's like, oh, we'll save the turtles, drink a plastic straw. Kill that boy. No. But why the fuck is the environmental stuff being put on us, the individual, rather than the corporations who are the ones who are actively infecting the environment? And why is it being put on us specifically in the West when you look at a map of all of the pollution that goes into a river, and let's just say it's not coming from Europe, and it used to not be coming from Canada. Now a lot of the waterways in Canada are becoming less clean, but it's mostly coming from India and China and Bangladesh.
Yeah. No. Well, I've always said Canada should never pay a globalist green initiative. It makes zero sense. We should never follow it. We have all of our resources help actually recycle the pollution. And we should be making countries and companies that want to deal with Canada pay green credits as far as I'm concerned. It's a pleasure to do business with us because of the environmental impact that you've actually done.
And it goes back to and people make the same argument that all these countries which are polluting the environment make the same argument that people do in terms of, it's part of their culture, the women have to wear a hijab. Yes, Europe and America used to pollute the environment, but that's because they didn't know better. As soon as they started to know better, look at what's been going on now. Yes, in Europe, sometimes it's been taken too far. And in California, it's been taken too far. Where actually, if you try to do something which is going to help the environment, like build a new train system, you can't do that in the UK because the Green Party, who I believe are funded by Russians, because it just makes the most sense. And the Green Party in Germany, they'll shut down the nuclear program. But instead of going to wind, we're going to coal because that's the only thing we can actually do. Right? We didn't know any better at the time, but now we do. We know that throwing a shit ton of trash into the ocean is going to fuck with the fish. We know that you shouldn't be dumping carcasses into the river and then drinking from that same river, right?
But again, it goes back to everything we've been talking about. It's a first world issue.
Yeah,
and yet it doesn't translate. There's that missing connection where you have this first world and third world mesh and largely through globalism, and you're seeing, and that's a major difference that you're seeing. You're seeing first world problems of globalism, and then you're seeing third world problems of globalism. It varies.
Yeah, and you end up having. The manufacturing jobs in the West are gone, so the standard of living has declined. You have to go into these higher income things. Not higher income. You have to, what used to be like all of the skilled labor is declining. Either if it's in a fact, like if you're a machinist or a carpenter, you can't really get a job in America unless you're going for dirt poor wages. So you have to, so the jobs get outsourced.
They're getting big. Depends if you're doing private.
If you're doing it in like Montana or Utah or Idaho, sure. If you're doing it in Texas, they're bringing in an H-1B.
Yeah.
And then with these other jobs, globalization has ended up fucking up the little guys because they end up losing all of their actual doctors. Like in India, they have like or I don't know if India has a shortage, but in a lot of these countries, like Bulgaria, has a shortage.
Because why would you want to live in Bulgaria as a doctor?
Because you could get paid better somewhere else.
Exactly.
So it ends up just fucking everyone up. Part of the reason why I think immigration should be restricted is as a labor argument. Because it's a supply and demand argument, not just a labor thing. Because with labor, the supply of labor is higher, and therefore the median salary is going to go down. Meanwhile, with goods, the demand for goods is increasing, and therefore the price is going to go up. It's just fucking everyone up.
Well,
if you need someone, bring someone in. If you don't need someone, there's no reason to bring someone in for the sake of it.
And the thing with immigration and societal growth is it's not immediate. Like, it takes time to build infrastructure. You cannot have these major surpluses of people coming in to a country and expecting everything to go smoothly, because it's not going to happen. The infrastructure can't support it, and you're going to have a lesser quality of life across the board.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that in Canada. You're seeing it in the UK. And
where it takes you ages to get a healthcare appointment because the system
houses
is
aren't built. Like, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a big supporter of the baby bonus, and I genuinely believe that's
I thought
how
you were about to say
population.
baby boomers when they're the ones that started this whole
No.
fucked up thing in the first place.
No, I do. No, I think we need a baby boom.
We need a
honestly.
baby boom, but that specific generation called baby boomers, they suck.
Yeah, absolutely. They ruined
They
Canada.
ruined the world. They ruined the whole world.
But, like, and it needs to happen because we're like the populations are declining heavily.
Although there was, I don't think that a population declining is necessarily, obviously in the long term, the country can't sustain. But in the short term, I don't think that a population decline needs to be supplemented by immigration. There was a story where during the Black Death, which was the lowest, which was the biggest population decline in history in Europe because so many people dying.
Yeah.
It was said that was the first time the peasants ever saw the lords till their own fields.
Wow.
Because they had to, because there was not suddenly a massive underclass.
Yeah.
The wages for peasants tripled because it suddenly evened things out.
Absolutely.
But a decline in population means that you can't maintain an underclass.
Yeah.
You have to even things out. But when you supplement everything with immigration, you end up still
Absolutely
having that thing, and everything just ends up getting fucked.
It's such an easy formula, and yet it's not being used, and I don't understand.
And you look at who
it's like there's other forces at work.
and
honestly,
you look at who immigration benefits.
yeah.
If you have 10 immigrants, and let's say 2 of them are productive, everybody experiences that, but mostly the billionaires because they're paying them less. Those 8 people that aren't productive, let's just say as an example, who is the one that has to pay for them? Is it the billionaires who are the ones who are getting the benefit from the ones that are productive? No, it's every single taxpayer who are having to pay for the government benefits.
Yeah.
So if you're a billionaire or a large corporation, what are you incentivized to do? Bring in as many immigrants as possible because the risk is so low for you.
Yeah.
The reward is, well, for you at least, is so potentially high. When the allocation of risk versus reward is different, when there's an imbalance in who gets the reward and who's taking on the risk, then you get a fucked up system like we have today.
I like that. That's well articulated.
Well,
I
we've been going for an hour and a half, and I don't want to make my people suffer.
All right.
So, although I haven't actually gone over an hour in so long because I used to go. I went over an hour like 4 weeks in a row, and I'm like, fuck. And then I ended up with one episode which was like 80 minutes long, and I'm like, and nobody was like. But I feel like this, because it's the final episode of the season. I feel like it's a good time.
It's a good back and forth.
It's a good time to actually extend it. So, what would you like to say to the people to wrap things up?
Anything you do the best of your ability. Do it with pride. Be proud of yourself, and do everything with purpose.
Yeah.
That's the best I can leave you with.
The other guy who plays lacrosse, he shouted out his lacrosse team people. So,
Oh, did he?
Clearly
all right, I'll shout out my Canadians. I got Benjo Gaborio, Mr. Yahoo.
Mr. Yahoo. Oh, my God, yeah.
Benny Martin and Miley O'Brien. Thanks, fellas. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to have you on.
It's been real.
Shame that it's going to be slightly more complicated for me to do the upload because normally I just go to the archive page and I download the files, but that's not going to work. So I hope that my phone's been working with the recording. So
I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Either way.
Shit, yeah, I cut off the mic too early. Either way, yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah, good luck with graduating soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.